Seeing that his legs turned into fly ash and floated in the air, Junwei Gao was so frightened that he broke down and cried, and he was incontinent at the same time. Only then did he truly understand that Charlie was indeed a real dragon in the sky, and in front of him, he was not even a worm. With a cold face, he said, "From your idea of beating my wife, you are destined to have only one way to go, and that is Death Road." As soon as he said this, Junwei Gao was so frightened that he couldn't stop shaking up and down. Death Road? Thinking of this, he broke down even more, weeping bitterly, and begged, "Mr. Wade, I have no legs, and I am a completely disabled person. Please let me go this time, please." Charlie sneered, "Don't you want to be a company with your father on Death Road? Don't forget, he died for you." "I don't want it, I don't want it." Junwei Gao waved and shouted hysterically. "Death? How can he have the courage to face death at this young age? He just wants to live in the world now." Charlie looked at him playfully and sneered, "Do you think it's better to live than to die?" Junwei Gao nodded in horror. "Of course it's better to live than to die. Who doesn't want to survive?" Charlie said coldly at this time. "This shows that you are not suffering enough now." After that, he waved his hand and faintly shouted, "Here." Another thunder went straight to Junwei Gao's crotch. With a click, Junwei Gao felt his crotch tingling, and then, the crotch was completely ashes. He took a handful of black ash from his crotch, stared at the black ash, crying loudly. This is his root. Now, it turned into a cloud of dust. However, Charlie was not willing to let him go. Charlie looked at him and said with a playful smile, "You can still hold up this black ash with your hands, to prove that you are not a disabled person at all." After speaking, he stepped forward to Junwei Gao, opened his hands, and sneered, "Here, here." Immediately afterwards, 2 lightning flashes. Junwei Gao saw with his own eyes that he was holding a pair of black and gray arms in the air, instantly turning into 2 charcoal lumps. He was completely frightened, his body shook, and 2 black charcoals snapped off his shoulders with a click, and fell to the ground, turning into a ball of dust. At this moment, Junwei Gao has become a stick without limbs. He looked at Charlie and begged in a panic, "Charlie, you let me go. It's already so miserable, so you can just kill me, okay? I beg you." As he spoke, tears and nose flowed. Charlie shook his head and said coldly, "I said, if you touch my wife, you will die. The reason why I didn't give you a happy one is that I want you to feel it, what despair is." Junwei Gao said in a panic, You killed my father, are you not afraid of being caught? Do you know that our family is very strong? They can chase you at any time and let you die?" Charlie waved his sleeves, swept the charcoal powder aside, then sat cross-legged in front of him, looked at his eyes, and said with a smile, "Junwei Gao, do you know what my true identity is?" Junwei Gao shook his head blankly. There is a word he dare not say. "Aren't you the famous rubbish popper Charlie, the live-in son-in-law?" Seeing that he didn't dare to speak, Charlie smiled and said, "You must think that I'm just a stinky rag, right?" Junwei Gao dared not speak up. Charlie smiled slightly and said, "To tell you the truth, I am the young master of the Wade family of Eastcliff and the chairman of the Emgrand Group. What do you think is your family in front of me?" Junwei Gao was immediately terrified. Wade family? Isn't that the top family in the country? Why? Why did the eldest master of the Wade family come to the Wilson family in Orus Hill to be a live-in son-in-law? He couldn't help saying, "I don't understand. I don't understand. If you are really the Wade family, Mr. Wade, then why are you willing to stay in the Wilson family and be ridiculed by others? You can obviously let the Wilson family kneeling on your knees. You can obviously make the whole Orus Hill bow to you." Charlie patted his face and said calmly, "Mortals are not qualified to see the true face of the dragon, and the true dragon does not bother to let them surrender." After that, Charlie looked at the time and said lightly, "It's almost time, Junwei Gao, hurry up on the road before your dad is far away. When you get to Death Road, you may be able to catch up with him and be a company." Junwei Gao wailed in fear, but Charlie didn't give him a chance. He stood up, looked at Junwei Gao with a grin, and waved with one hand, "Thunder." There was a loud bang, and after the frightening thunder light dissipated, Junwei Gao, with endless regret and fear, turned his whole person into powder, leaving no trace in this world at all. Charlie looked at his wife and mother-in-law who were still in a coma around him, sighed lightly, took out his mobile phone, and called Orville. As soon as the phone was connected, Charlie immediately ordered, "I'm at the Riverside Villa, bring a few people and cars, and bring some gasoline by the way." Mr. Orville immediately said, "Mr. Wade, don't worry, Mr. Orville will come here." More than 10 minutes later, Mr. Orville led people to arrive. Charlie asked them to drive the car into the yard, and then said to Mr. Orville, "Give me your car. I will take my wife and mother-in-law back. Here, you help me set a fire and burn this thing to ground." Orville hurriedly nodded, and respectfully opened his Mercedes-Benz door. Charlie put his wife and mother-in-law in the back seat, and said to Mr. Orville, "Say hello to the media, don't report on this side." "Okay, Mr. Wade." Orville hurriedly agreed.